I think just doing your thing to the best of your own ability, and even, acknowledging and accepting the fact that you're going to make a million mistakes along the way. Like,
and a million
start failing today so that you don't have to start failing tomorrow, because the sooner you start failing, the sooner you'll succeed.
You are now tuning in to the Relentless Project. Real people, real stories, real life.
To start the show, I have to tell you that I'm on 0 hours of sleep. And I had a little bitch moment with myself. Like, laid down, I was like, I'm going to get a half hour of sleep. So I lay down. And I'm like, oh, I can't sleep, dude. I can't sleep. I need a nap. Wake up, and I'm like, I have the haircut. I can't cancel the haircut because they're going to charge me.
Yeah.
I'm like, Andy, I would never push an episode. I'm like, but Andy would understand. Yeah. So as soon as I texted you, I was like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? What are you doing? I'm like, no, the show must go on. So then I texted you again, like, fuck it, we're running it. And then you text me on the phone.
Well, I was literally like in a meeting, got your first text. I saw it while I was talking to Rick. I was on the phone with Rick.
Ricky!
Yeah, and then before I knew, even had a chance to respond, you were like, nah, forget it. But I will say, the one thing, it was good to know that you can have a bitch moment too, because you're a tough guy. And I'm in this thing right now. I'm just totally overloaded with so much stuff, and I want to have a bitch moment, but I don't let myself.
Dude,
so it's good to know that other people who are doing hard shit still want to have a bitch moment.
I have a good friend of mine. We were having a very serious conversation, and he seriously looked at me and was like, man, like, I don't know how you do it. You just wake up and like, and I had to stop him. I'm like, hold on. You think that's how I wake up every day? He's like, yeah, I mean, like, you do this, you do this. I said, dude, I fight with myself every morning. Like, I don't wake up and go, today's the day. No, I wake up and I am miserable. I am tired. I am hungry. Now I got to go lift.
It's good to know that your social media thing looks really hard all the time.
No, and like, I try not to be too facetious on social media. Like, my goal is to push people, right? Because like, that's what pushes me. Like, when I'm in these moments, I don't want to see someone else complaining about going to the gym. I want to see someone who went through it and did it. So like, that's what I try to do. I post my, when I'm in the gym, my 4 or 5 a.m. at the gym, because I want someone to be like, man, I'm up. I saw this. I have no excuse. I should go. So it happens to everyone.
Well, I
think these bitch moments.
When I'm posting some stuff like that, for me, it's like keeping myself accountable too. Like, I post something and somebody's like, oh, you didn't do that. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly why I posted it, right? I need to put it on my page, because if it's on my page, I have to do it.
That's why. Who called me out? Tanner Hall.
Nice.
He showed up to the gym before me one time. He didn't let me live it down. He's like, oh, here I am at the gym. Where's Ish? Ever since that day, dude, I was like, I'm not skipping again. And guess what? He hasn't posted that since.
Yeah. Hey, I'm telling you, build an at-home gym, and it's way easier.
Oh, that'd be so much better. So, hey, here we are. For those of you who don't know, this is another one with Andy Grove with Pose. If he looks familiar and you've been following the podcast for a while, he was episode 39. There we learned a little bit about like what you do, what Pose, I guess, was initially going to be about, right?
Oh man,
because it's changed so much since then. It was about this time last year.
Is that when it was?
June of 24, I believe.
I swear, having like a full-time job plus a full-time startup plus all the stuff that we do on the side of that, like, I just don't even know what time is.
You want to talk about perception? Yeah. I didn't even know you had a full-time job. I thought you were like all eggs in this. You're doing this and have a full-time
job. Brother,
job.
I wish. I mean, I'm at this point right now, and my brother and I are both in it, where it's just a bandwidth challenge. It's like, I run all the social media myself. I do all the biz dev myself. We have the software team that takes care of stuff, but you still have to meet with them, have the conversations. Like,
shameless plug. Have you actually tried this? I'm not even doing this because...
No, I haven't. What is that one?
So this is Bullseye from Project One. Bro, I popped by accident 6 of these. You're supposed to take 3.
By accident?
Yeah, because they have the pump that I normally take, and that's 6 pills.
Did they just jump in, or?
So, well, I thought it was. I thought it was 6. Okay, so it was. I won't say by accident. It was negligently.
Okay, I got you.
But dude, it like pop them in and then we'll have a conversation.
Is this like Alpha Brain pretty much?
Yeah, it's essentially the cool Alpha Brain with a lot more goods.
Ish giving me pharmaceuticals on the podcast.
It's over the counter. Thank you, Project One. They actually provided that.
I was gonna say plug Project One.
So yeah, well, I have to. I mean, that was, and like it's a shameless plug because yeah, we are affiliated, we're tied together, but it works. They initially, and I'm speaking based off of my limited knowledge on how they did this, but it was supposed to be like for shooters to focus and stuff. So now it's become more of like a, hey, you're running a tech company, use this every day. So it works. Let me know how you like it. Honest feedback. Before we get too into the weeds, I don't think you've gotten one of those. That's the Relentless Project Challenge coin. And I would say you're relentless, and everyone listening is going to find out why.
This is so cool, man. Thank you.
No, of course.
Path to success. Did you take these like, it's like military style with the coin, and then what's
That was
the
the
challenge
premise.
part?
So a challenge, that's what they're called, challenge coins. And I always mess this up, but I'm going to try my best. So this started in like the Roman Empire era. So when you had this, when you were given this coin, it was some sort of feat that was accomplished or some sort of affiliation that you had. Like you had this, you were a part of this group. The military has since taken that for the same reasons, right? Like different units will have their challenge coins, which sends them down to police. Now police have challenge coins. So it's more of like a, hey, this is how we feel. You're a part of this. You're this now. So all my guests, the majority of them, when I take my bullseye and I remember, they get a challenge coin, because you being on this show means I want to hear what you have to say. You have a story. What you're doing is something that I'm following and appreciating. So you get the Relentless Project challenge coin.
Man, that's really cool. I love it.
I don't
Are you
think it
okay if I
spends well.
steal this for our champion program? I'm not going to do the same coin, but
No, do it.
I think it'd be neat.
I stole that. I was at a training in New Jersey, and shout out Funeral. I don't know if he still listens to the podcast, but he's in a level of law enforcement, and we're doing EFC. We're training, and he, at the end of it, he pulls me to the side. He's like, "Hey, bro, I don't give these to everyone, but like your style, your attitude, dude's fucking tatted, badass dude, giving me compliments." Gives me a challenge coin shaped in a coffin. Dude,
this is a coffin shape. That's cool.
his was
Wow.
a coffin shape, and it had his insignia on one side, and on the other side it said, "You survived the funeral." And he goes by funeral, and I was like, I need to do something like that for the podcast. So I stole the idea, more than absolutely steal it. I think it's cool, with a big P.
Yeah, I helped Ethan with a shoot with the National Guard one time, and the colonel came down and he gave me a little like coin. And it's such a simple thing. It's not the fanciest little item or whatever, but just that like, hey, you contributed. And that thing that you can hold on to, you look back at it and you say, hey, I contributed to something and I feel validated for that. And not that I needed validation, but you just feel like, hey, I had something of value to bring to the table in this environment. And then it encourages you to come back and do it again and do it again and do it again.
And it reminds you, right? Like, what did you do that you were given this?
Yeah.
You were a part of something. This colonel came down and gave it to you himself. Like, it all stems from something. I'm sorry I'm not as cool, but hopefully you get the same kind of feeling.
This is so cool. I mean, the Relentless community that you've built, it's kind of becoming a beast of its own outside of Ish Lopez, right? Like, there are people here who identify with Relentless as a theme, and you're the one perpetuating it. But it's a community, and it, like, I hear about it outside of you in so many places. Like, Seminar Stack's a great example. Like, they came to me and treated me like family, and all it was you said, hey, go talk to Andy. Like,
well, I appreciate that.
It's cool.
They're
It's
awesome
cool.
people.
Yeah.
I got to correct you. I bring in relentless people. That's it. I'm just putting the relentless folks together. But I do appreciate, because like when if you tell me, hey, go talk to this person, I'm like, well, if Andy standing with it, boom, because of the relationship we've built and the conversations we've had. So that's the whole premise of this, right? If we can build this network of people where like me and you're talking, we came in here, we started 15, 20 minutes late because now we're outside talking with Nick about whole other business stuff. Like I love that stuff.
Reinventing the world.
That's what it's all about. Connecting people and things and building something huge. And then one day when we're in our big offices in the future, we look back and be like, dude, we started a Penn Brewery.
Yeah, dude.
No knock to Penn Brewery.
It's a real practical thing on that front, and I don't know how much you've seen on this, but Trump has been doing a global tour. I don't care if you like Trump or not, whatever, but he's been doing a global tour with all of the other country partners, and he's found something like $8 trillion of investment that's going to come back into the United States. And so $8 trillion plus all of the elderly people who are going to be passing their wealth down. It's something like 12 to 15 trillion dollars of wealth is going to transition to a new generation over the next 5 years. And so the opportunity is now to dig in deep, put in the hard work now, because maybe it's not going to make us dimes today, but it may make us millions tomorrow, right? And we just have to put in the work now to set ourselves up to just welcome part of that investment that's going to come into America. And I think people like us who are building this community and building companies, even if they're early stages, are the ones who are set up to do that. So I encourage anybody to put in the work now, even if it's hard and not, you don't see exactly what the future is going to hold.
No, Dom, the last guest I had, he said something that will forever stick with me that I've been doing but didn't realize I've been doing. And I'm going to paraphrase, but essentially he said, are you prepared for the opportunities to come?
Yes.
Because if you're not prepared for the opportunity, it's not gonna turn to fruition. Nothing's gonna happen. But the hard work you put in today sets you up for the opportunities to come so that you can capitalize on these opportunities. So how are you preparing today for tomorrow, whether it's for your health, whether it's for your finances, whether it's for your family? What are you doing today that's going to set you up for tomorrow? Because oftentimes we complain about what we don't have today and we sit here. Well, then tomorrow comes and we're not ready for what's coming because we haven't done anything to prepare for it.
The early stages of entrepreneurship are all, it's like, it's not complaining, but it's like vision and hope and ideas. And I hate to say it, none of that really has a lot of value until the rubber meets the road. And I think like the hope is good because it keeps you going. But at some point it converted to uncertain hard work, right? Like, I don't know what the outcome of this is, but I'm just going to put in manual effort and make it happen. And it's not grind forever. It's definitely work smarter, not harder. But I've noticed, even like with some of the military relationships that we have and other things like that, like our ability as a team to put in manual steps and say, this is the next thing that we're going to do. This is the next thing that we're going to do. And do it over and over again has way more impact than any ideas or hopes or dreams that we ever had when we were starting the business early on. And yeah, execution is important, but it's just like you want to invest money in the things that we're doing, and we want to invest effort. And I think that energy and the effort investment is the thing that drives things into the future in a way that actually like comes to fruition at some point.
Yeah, I mean it's the age-old premise of, take one step at a time, inch by inch. Oftentimes we have that future goal in mind, and that's all we focus on, and we skip everything that it's required to get there, and it's easy to lose sight of that because that's not happening. But if you're taking like, hey, this is our goal for tomorrow, this is our goal for this quarter, this is our goal for this year, and it's my understanding you had these goals, and then this time last year, your goals they've gotten different, bigger. Dude, you had a table at the Pit Power Expo, if that's what it's called.
Oh, the Fit Pro Expo.
The Fit Pro Expert.
Yeah, well,
Expo.
And just to give credit where credit's due, Jarek set us up with that.
Well,
man.
of course,
and
but
he's
like
a great dude, and he had us. We really want to support the Veteran Bushido Brotherhood with the stuff that we're doing. So it's like, use the code VETERAN and sign up for the app, and then you can get military prep related courses in there, and we're working with him to put those things together and actually offer them through the platform, so it's relevant,
And that's something that, did you have that in mind when you started Pose? I don't know, like how has Pose changed from when it was an idea and now that the app is, we live, baby, as
it's out,
as they say.
The app is out.
It's out for the world to see. How's that feel?
It's there was a moment of like extreme excitement. It's out, and then there was this. The second moment was like, oh shoot, now it's time to get to work.
All my hard work is being seen now.
Well, and it's like now's only the beginning of the work. Like we crossed the starting line. Finally, we crossed the starting line. Now it's about all the steps that we have to do to help people understand how they can leverage the platform, why it's useful to them, how it works for gym goers, how it works for different customer segments. And I told you whenever we came into the studio here, like for 7 years, it was about selling the future vision about what this thing is. And now it's here. The story that we're telling is entirely different. It's here. It's now. We can do things. And those things require manual work to do. So it's about giving good timelines and helping people understand how project works. And so the shift is less sales, more project management. And it's different. But as far as the concept of the app, like we started with the body tracking. That was the kind of unique differentiator or whatever. And that's still there. So that's kind of the core element. We can use it as a benchmarking tool, but it's expanded into this massive partnership opportunity. So we have programs in the app. Some of those programs are pose-generated programs. You're thinking like 6-week weight loss or 6-month like strength building program. We can do all of that kind of stuff. But like
the Relentless plan.
Where is it? You got it? Give me the PDF. I'll put it in the app as soon as possible.
You're getting the PDF. And then people are going to realize, and that's the whole thing about fitness I love. Like sometimes it's about the basics, right? Like when these kids come up to me and they're like, how do you bench this? They hate my answer. I'm like, I go up 5 pounds at a time. And they're like, they're throwing on 45s and 25s, and I'm putting on little 5-pound plates. And they're like, that's not how you got. That's how I got up here. 5-pound plates at a time. Took me a long time, but I'm here and it ain't going anywhere. You may hit this right now. Next week you may not hit it, depending on your nutrition, your sleep, your stress levels. You know, how's your body feeling today? How are you emotionally? Like you may not hit that same weight you did last week because it's not consistent. It's not sustainable. But when I'm up 5, it's sustainable and it's here to stay. It ain't going nowhere. They hate that answer. So when they see my plan, people are going to be like, nope, next. And then
the ones who do it are going to just be benching 315 plus and be like, yeah, Ish was the man. He told me.
Small goals, baby. Small goals.
Yeah. So I think the shift was that it's more than body tracking, which is cool. But as we've been building it, the marketplace opportunity is growing and expanding. So it's not about pose. It's about all of the people who can use pose as an amplifier for their business. So really early on, we got this critique that was like, oh, you're going to cannibalize all the trainers and you're not going to, you're going to replace the trainer. And it's like, yeah, but what about the 40% of the market who's not willing to work with a trainer yet, needs a program to go through so that they can see why a trainer is essential, right? Because a trainer is essential. But not everybody has time, nor does everybody have the education or knowledge on why they need it. So if you can give them something hard to go do, where they run into a barrier and they say, well, I got to figure out how to get over that. And the trainer resource is right there for them because it's the person who wrote that program in the app. And they can just click go and sign up for their monthly membership to the training on top of the monthly membership to the app. All the resources are teed up in a pipeline that makes sense for everybody, and it's right at your fingertips, no matter what your need is, right? If you're a powerlifter, bodybuilder, military, police, whatever, we can have a program partner in there who's writing the content and providing the training service for that. All lined up right in the app.
And it kind of pushes the industry to have to be better, right? Because if, as a trainer, you can be replaced by this, you're not providing the value to your clients that you should be, right?
Well, good trainers will provide.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's my point. A good trainer, you're going to realize like, oh, like this isn't a threat to me. This is a tool. This is a resource, right? Like AI and art, right? Like a true artist will be able, and Dom Porcari talked about this. If you're truly passionate about what you're doing, AI is a tool. Yeah. AI can't replace what you have. But if you're just this wishy-washy, half in, testing the industry, trying to it's gonna devour you. It's because you don't have the wherewithal to sustain this. So I think that app provides not only is it a good resource, but it also like will scare away the folks who probably don't have the best intention or the grit to be a good value or a good resource to their clients.
Well, and even those people, right? Let's call it the people who are still learning. Those people need to start somewhere. You get the new guy who just comes out of school. He just got his NASM cert, and he hasn't been a personal trainer before. Okay, he's not going to be as good as somebody who's been doing it for 20 years. I don't want to create a situation where he's just out because he's not good enough. But how can, like, if he were to work with us and become a champion and start referring people into the app and start putting his programs in, he can grow with us for his business to get to the point where he has the experience and credentials to do so by helping people in smaller ways as he goes. So our whole, part of our inspiration was like, hey, you look at these big box gyms and what trainers do in these big box gyms, and they don't really get paid well. Like they get paid probably 30% of the revenue that comes in from those customers, and that's not really even enough to put food on their table. Like you're talking barely more than minimum wage for some of these training groups. Unless you have your own training business, right? And you're doing online coaching, that's where you can make decent money. But what we want to do is flip it on its head, right? So if you work with Pose, from the referral, you'll get part of the monthly membership, right? But then for all of the services that you offer within the app, if you offer your monthly training, you're getting 70% on all of that. Whereas in the big box gym, you're going to get like 30% or less. And so Pose will take a little bit because, hey, we're going to sit here and we're going to market for you. We're going to shoot content for you. We're going to connect you with all the people that we know and hopefully bring you some customers through the platform as well. But it helps people grow their business.
When you're going to constantly evolve the app to keep up with, hopefully, the demand that comes.
Yeah, that's the biggest challenge, right? Like there's a lot to that.
What was one of the key milestones in the development of the app where you were like, now we're ready to launch? Like when or what was the thing that told you, hey, we're ready to take this to market. Now we're going to grow with it. Because that's a tough thing. Like for me, every time I'm sitting on this podcast episode, I'm like, oh, this is I love this episode. It was a great conversation. Then I'm editing it. I'm like, man, what if people don't take the value that I took from it? What if people don't appreciate it like I appreciate it? So it's scary to throw it on the internet and be like, hey, I put everything into this and some of you are going to tear it down.
Yeah.
Like, so what was that moment for you where you're like, it's ready for the market?
So there's a quote by, I think it's Reid Hoffman is his name, and he was might be the wrong name, but he's the LinkedIn guy who founded LinkedIn. He said, if you're not embarrassed by the first thing you put it out too late. Right. So I've had that in the back of my mind for a long time. It's really the value in putting something out is the feedback that you get, whether or not it's negative, because it tells me the things that people are focused on that are working and aren't working, and I can adapt with that. It's really hard to adapt with no information. Right. So that was my mindset going into it. I knew there was going to be a moment of launch. I knew it was going to, we're going to put the app out and a few people were going to use it, and it's not automatically going to go to 1 million members, and like we're still getting users onboarded to the platform. And so it's little by little, but then as we can provide that value by listening to their needs, it'll grow. Right. So we're thinking about it a little bit more like a manual work, a little bit more like, hey, how do we service immediate needs right now? But in the product development process, we built a backlog of all the features. So once that backlog was done, I knew, okay, it's ready to go out. But there were a couple things like push-ups and sit-ups. They were giving us so much grief in the AR. And I'm like, do I put it out and have some people do some push-ups and sit-ups that don't work really well and, maybe be embarrassed by that on my end? Eventually, we just put a beta tag on it and said, like, hey, this is still in testing so people can use it. But I think, I'm in the middle of the moment that you're mentioning with that question. I'm in the middle of, it's been out since March. We have about 100 people on the platform that are using it and starting to test it. And a lot of them are champion partners. So it's like, I need to get it in hand, see how people are using it, because it's not Kahuna. It's not Train Heroic. It's not any of these other platforms that you think would be similar. This is an ecosystem and a marketplace, not just a trainer delivery platform. So this is like if you were to have Facebook or Instagram for fitness, where all of those resources and community members and people were in one place, and you could get access to anything that you needed in a high quality format. Like we're going to have a filter on what partners we're allowing into the platform. Like, so I think quality of supplements or quality
absolutely.
of training, or like, hey, do you understand performance? And I'm not even the guy who sets that, right? Like there's other partners that we have that are really picky about what it means to be a good personal trainer, what it means to be a good physical therapist. And so we review everything with them and curating this high quality environment where anybody can grow into it or be involved or get customers or provide value. You know, it's totally different. And it's all supported by the body tracking, right? That's a tool that's in there that helps the individual customer understand their fitness quality.
Which that was like the main thing then, and now it's like, hey, this is another thing we offer.
It's a support system.
Yeah, I think, man, there's so many ways this app can go, and that's a problem I have where I'm like, I'm thinking this big picture, and people are telling me like, well, hold on, dude, we have to work here and then work here and then work here and then work here, and eventually we're gonna have this. And I'm like, well, but like we could do all this, and I would probably bankrupt the app. So that's why I don't do it.
Well, that's why you give me the programs. I'll put
Okay, send me the programs. I'll let you know which ones make it. What were some of the biggest challenges you encountered like during the launch? Was there, I mean, obviously technological, I'm going to assume. You said the push-up AR stuff like that, dealing with stuff like that. But did you encounter any other challenges making the decision to go live?
So we have a really strong development team. So the process of when that got teed up to launch was like pretty strategized with them. I don't think there were a lot of challenges in launch, but I think like when you're building a new product, a new company, one of the hardest things is like awareness and eyeballs. Right. And doing that in a way for me, like, I don't want to be the guy who's just by pose, beating people over the head with this message. I want to communicate a story about why it's valuable and how it impacts business and how it impacts the customer and how it makes people get injured less, and things like that. And like show the value of the platform. So for me, it's storytelling and marketing. Right. And I'm not a professional marketer. I'm learning as I go. Right.
It's the best way to do it.
Just learning as I go. And helping it address immediate customer needs, because the tool, like the body tracking, right? It's like a hammer. You know, you can use a hammer to build a house or to do plumbing or to set up a garden in your backyard. The hammer can be used for so many different things. It's about making sure that that tool is high quality enough and then getting it in the hands of the right customers so they can like test it and use it. We went to the rehab center. Do you know Isaac?
Do I know? Come on, Isaac! Really, shout out. He was one of my hottest episodes for a moment there.
Yeah, so Isaac's one of our investors and a partner, and we went to the rehab center, which is his chiropractic.
That's where we did his podcast.
Yeah,
and then he made me throw up next door. Good times.
Did you go
Factory.
to? Yeah.
So he's he's a partner.
He's a partner. So we took it to the rehab center and like used the AR live on a couple of his patients. And these aren't like elite athletes. These are like people who experience car accidents. And like they're in rehab for car accidents because they had a broken hip or something. And so this one lady gets on and she tries to do a squat, and she can do maybe like 4 inches of a squat. So pretty much nothing at all, no range of motion. And we tested it with the app, and she got let's just say she got like a 60% on the range of what she should have got. And then Isaac took her back behind the scenes and did adjustments, like chiropractic adjustments and physical therapy exercises to increase range of motion. And then we remeasured with the app. She got 15% increased range of motion read on the app.
Dude, so that just reminded me. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say those are the micro instances of how we can get real customer testimonials and see it working in the field with people. So I know here's what I need to do to continue to adapt that platform.
Dude, so I just graduated from PT. Everyone, yay! I should do like sound effect. Yeah. I don't do any of that. Maybe my PT, shout out Pat, he said he's going to start listening to the podcast now that we're no longer in this relationship because he broke up with me. I told him about pose and what it involves. Well, he would use different apps, right? Like when we would measure my knee, my quad strength from 90, right? He would use this app to determine what angle my leg was at. And then I was put on this monitor, and then I would have to push out, and the monitor was static. So it was the force onto this spring or whatever. And then it would show me the force I was outputting. Another app he would use was jumping. He would record me jumping, right? In different jumps. There's the counterweight jump, the single leg jump, and it was like fixed positions. And it would measure how far you jumped up, when you left contact, how long you were in the air, when you made contact. It would measure how much one thing it didn't measure, actually, I misspoke, was he would always say, hey, do it again. I need more bend in your knee. Because it was for a knee issue. So I'd have to bend a certain amount. Well, this app didn't measure that. He would just tell me like, hey, try to go a little lower. Let's redo it. Well, this is something I can envision pose doing, right? Like you're recording this. You have someone who you're measuring their jumps to see, and then it would determine this formula of like how much percentage your rehab leg was off compared to your other leg. So it did all these calculations based off of a video and little points he would put in, like this is the moment he left the ground. This is the moment he touched the ground. This is how long he was up. Like the Pose app can determine all that if programmed correctly. You just record, boom. It will measure how much your knee bends. If it was good, green. If it was bad, red. Hey, let's redo it.
Yep.
Like this is something it could be doing.
Rep by rep scoring there, percentage wise. So out of 100, how good is that jump based on where it should be, right? So if you were able to benchmark up front, maybe this doesn't apply because you were injured, right? But if you were able to benchmark your normal up front and then do a bunch of exercises and then benchmark again, you can see the improvement. So like, let's just use bench press as an example, right? Like if you're going to benchmark your bench press and say, hey, your quality of form is 60% with 315 because it's heavy, right? Like you're compensating because it's overweight, right? And then you practice, add your 5 pounds over and over again for a few weeks and then re-benchmark, and your quality of form's like not 60 anymore and it's now 85 or 90. Now hey, I can put a little bit more weight on that bar and get above 315 without injury risk. So you're helping the data that we're generating with the app, whether it's physical therapy, personal training, or you lifting in the gym by yourself, the data that we're generating in the app is helping people make decisions based off of that data to not get injured, to progress efficiently, to know when to add more weight, to know when to try a new exercise. Like, hey, if my squat's really bad and I'm twisting in my hips and I'm not able to compensate for that the right way and get evenness, maybe I go do Bulgarian split squats over and over again with both legs until both legs are even.
So is that something that the app is going to be capable of? Like, let's say I'm having trouble with this variation. It's calculating, hey, what you're doing is wrong and it can cause you harm. Mm-hmm. Based off of the data we've pulled, this is a variation that's going to help you build to this.
Yeah. Well, and I think so the place where we are now is we can generate the data. Right? As we get users on the platform and are generating data from bunches of different users, we can see continuous patterns and we'll add layers on top of that, right? So, hey, here's the base data that you're getting, Ish's data. And because we've seen Ish do it and Andy do it and Tyler do it and hundreds of other people do it, we know that when that thing happens over and over again, this next thing is the one that solves the problem. So we can actually start spitting back recommendations. And we do that in little ways for an exercise now. For instance, like if you go do a squat and you're wonky, it'll be like keep your spine straight, keep your knees parallel, keep your hips parallel, and it'll tell you those things. But the more we see reps on the app, the more we'll be able to identify those and add additional layers of recommendation, and then eventually even integrate like more advanced AI tactics to do that specifically to you as a user.
Yeah, because data is going to be king right now, especially in respectfully, like the testing phase, right? Because right now, you want to gather as much data as possible. And this is the beauty of data. You may not know what to do with it right now, but then later down the road, you're like, this AI or this process requires these things to spit this out. We have all that data. Mm-hmm. Now you input the data and develop something crazy or recommend something amazing. So like collecting as much, where are you storing all that? That's where my mind's at right now. Like just 100 people to store all this data. That's not to mention the app information, the coding, like how does that, is that something you're involved in? Is that someone you have lots?
I have professionals.
Okay, because I'm sitting here like, because I dabble in a lot of things, right? So I know a little about a lot. I'm sitting here as you're saying all this, I'm like, where are we putting this all this data?
Well, and I would say like the micro joint positioning and things like that. You're talking like kilobytes or less. That's like small data. But like there's a reason we didn't start doing in-app video storage, right? Because that gets really big and really expensive really fast. If you look at like Twitch and all the Twitch streaming and all the data storage that they have to do for video there, there's something ridiculous like 80% of their revenue goes to data storage for video. And I don't want to start tiptoeing into that ballpark until I have to, right? So for us,
that's where the money's at.
Yeah, but they don't make any money because they spend it all on video storage.
I mean, for the companies doing the video storage.
Oh yeah,
because like we had body cams, and we were testing body cams, and I won't say the company because I don't want them to come back and kill me, but and our department loved it, and it was like the trial period, right? Well, come end the trial period, it's time to pay. And they're like, hey, by the way, this is how much you're gonna have to pay to store all this data, and that's why we went with another company, just because we couldn't, not that we couldn't afford, but that they didn't want to pay for the storage. They loved the cameras, loved the product, loved what it did. The storage was like, hey, we got to go with someone else.
It's expensive.
So it's expensive.
And they usually, I mean, at some point you try to put some of that cost back to the customer because they're the ones choosing to store things, right? So from an app perspective for us, if we were going to store all of your bench press squat videos, right, at some point I have to say, hey, Ish, it's going to be $30 more a month to just house your videos.
5 gigabytes or...
Yeah, exactly. It starts turning into like Google Drive for your lifts. And, you know, it might make sense for us to do that at some point if we really get down that road. But the longer we can not do that, the lower the barrier to entry is for people.
Is there a way you record the video? And I'm going to apologize in advance. I actually spoke with, I forget her name, in regards to the app feedback. And I was like, I want more time with this so I can really like give an honest feedback. So I need to get back into the app. I don't know all the features it has.
Did you meet with Ayla?
No. So she emailed me and we were setting up a time, and I actually emailed her like yesterday or 2 days ago. I'm like, hey, can I get more time? Because I really want to like give good, true, honest feedback. I love the marketer in me. Like I love doing it. When people ask for surveys, I give them surveys. Like I'll answer the surveys because that's how you make things better, right? Mm-hmm. Not to mention, you put everything into this. I want to give you everything of me that I can regarding this feedback. So I asked for some more time. So I don't know all the features you have. So I apologize if this is something you offer. We record the video and then you give them the option to download it to your device.
It's automatically downloads to your device.
Right?
So you go into
that's why you're doing this and not anyone else.
Yeah, you go into the program screen, like whether it's a program or a standalone workout or an assessment, right? And you'll click into the exercise where it says AR. It's a little green tag. And so it'll port you right over to the camera view. And then at the bottom, there's a little video camera icon. And you can click that, and it'll say record screen or record microphone. And it'll port it right into your camera roll on your phone. So we're allowing the user to do the storage of the videos if they want to, but we're not requiring it.
No, that's you'll never need to store it.
Yeah. And if you think about adding, like, the question for us is like, as we grow the app, what can we offer now versus what will we offer later, right? So, and if you're working with a trainer now and the trainer wants to use the app, you can export that video to your camera roll, and then you can share it through a text message with your trainer, and they can go and analyze that video.
You know, that with coaching, that's huge, because that's exactly what they do. Send me your check-in. Send me...
Exactly.
Dude, jeez. This, like, how can... I'm the seller in me, right? Like, I know you don't like buy post. Yeah. But the seller in me is like, how could you not use this app, right? Like, do you have fitness goals?
Me?
Yeah.
Personally?
What are your fitness goals?
To get fitness goals, I think, is where I'm at right now.
To get fitness goals.
Full-time job, full-time startup.
Let me know how I do, okay?
Okay.
What are your to get fitness goals? What if I told you there's an app that you put in what you're looking for or what you think your goals are, and it'll provide you a library of where you should be based off of the things you give it? Was that something you'd be interested in?
Absolutely. Oh shoot! You just sold me my own app.
Look at that. No, there's this marketing guy I always watch on Instagram, and like, he's kind of cheesy, and like, I don't like arrogance.
Is this
like,
Jeremy?
Is it like he always wears the shirts with like he has like 3 sayings I forget, and he wears a little headset.
No, I don't. That's not it.
But this dude is a genius. Like listening to, I'm like, man, I don't even know what he's selling, but I'd buy it. I'd buy it because what he's saying makes sense, and that was his premise. It's like you provide them that question of like, oh, this is what you're looking for. If I can give you this right now, is that something you'd be interested in?
Yeah.
You're telling them what they're looking for. How can you say no? No, I don't want to get fit. No, I don't want an app that tells me everything I need to do. Like it's genius. But yeah, pose. What lessons have you learned about doing this whole thing? Like that you can apply to life? Because I'm just sitting here. You don't have gray hair, which blows my mind. You have a nice face. Like how have you not aged in the process of developing this app?
My soul has aged.
He's an old soul.
Yeah.
Like, what are some things developing this app and its process? What are some things you've learned about yourself, about life, about business?
That's a deep one. I've learned that the leader of the whatever it is, organization, company, group, friendship, whatever, sets the tone, right? So if when you're having a job and a startup and everything, it's easy to get highly stressed out. If I allow that pressure and the cortisol to come out of me onto my team, then I'm setting a tone of stress for the company and the partnerships, and I don't want to be that guy. So I have been that guy. I've made the mistakes. But as I've been launching the app and building new relationships, it's about, even if there's stress, how do you maintain composure and provide solutions and steps forward instead of because there's always going to be stress. Life's always going to be high pressure. And the more we do impactful things, the more pressure there's going to be. So you eventually just get to a point where you learn how to handle it better. And then for me, it's like, it's easy to have impulsive stress, right? So somebody calls you and says, hey, this app isn't working, and the Air Force needs to see it in 2 days and it's not doing what I need to do. Like, it's easy to go freak out and say like, well, we got to do a fire drill and solve all these problems. Or it's like, what can we do to fix it right now? And that question actually provides more solutions than freaking out at all. And it helps the team realize that like, it's not time to freak out. It's time to problem solve.
That's it. Yeah. Like, and it's an innate response in us as humans. It's like problem, but like the quicker you're able to realize like this requires a solution, the sooner I sit down and figure out what the problem is so that I can figure out solutions, the sooner we can get to said solution. But we as humans, like, we don't want to touch it because it's scary. It's like, man, that's the problem. I can't, I'm freaking out. What am I going to do? When, like, I'm in life hits you with some shit, right? I was bound for a swear word. I haven't sworn all episodes. So, you get that text or you get that phone call, and the first thing we do is like we start stressing. It's hard to do that. Well, it's not hard. It's easy to do that. But you can't do that when you have a business to run, when you have people depending on you. And you mentioned the word leadership, team. Like, that's something I want to talk. I've been reading this book. I've been reading a lot of books on leadership, and it's humbled me and checked me, right? Because like, we all want to be leaders, but we don't want to do the things that leadership requires, right? Like, and this book talks about like what a high road leader, which I think, did you see my, I posted it on X and Instagram, what it means to be a high road leader. There's high road leaders, mid road leaders, and low road leaders. And I'm looking at this list and I'm like, man, I don't really do a lot of these things, but by doing this, you change your environment, you change yourself, and your goals start being reached because you're not putting yourself first. You're putting the goal and other people first. And I feel like you've done a lot of that. And that's why I think this is, it's like, it has the chance to be very, very successful because
It's getting there. Yeah.
you're looking at the end goal and you're developing all these meaningful relationships along the way. You know, and it's funny because when I talk to someone, right, like Seminar Stack, I'm talking to them and I'm like, dude, Andy would fit here perfectly. Right? Like, and then, you know, you guys have the conversation and you both come back to me with the same, oh, dude, that
Way
dude was
bigger than
awesome.
I thought it was going to be.
That dude is awesome. And then you're telling me, oh, Seminar Stack, that. You know, like, and that's how you know, like, it's something good and it's working. Mm-hmm. Right? Like the goal is going to be achieved because I've put this good person and this good person together and they're going to do good things.
Yeah.
You know, like, and you exhibit a lot when you start to cut corners or especially in businesses, we want to get ahead, right? So how do we get ahead? I have to be above someone. I have to put someone down, right? That's the old way of thinking. And some people still unfortunately think like that. It's like, I want to be seen as the best podcast. I need to poop on other podcasts. And that's
actually
not true.
the opposite of the way to do it.
It's the opposite.
Yeah. I think just doing your thing to the best of your own ability and, you know, acknowledging and accepting the fact that you're going to make a million mistakes along the way. Like start failing today so that you don't have to start failing tomorrow. Because the sooner you start failing, the sooner you'll succeed.
Like Sean with Barbells and Bourbon, like he's another podcast. Right. And we were competing for the Pittsburgh best podcast in Pittsburgh or whatever. But I just had a guest, Jillian, amazing story. Like, I don't want to say amazing because her story, like she did a hard thing. And Sean is a hell of an interviewer, more structured, very intentional with his questioning. Me, I'm all over the place and I try to bring it back, but he's very good at what he does. And I'm like, immediately after the episode, I texted him like, dude, you need to have her on.
Yeah.
You need to have her on. Like, she will do so well on your podcast. This would be very good. I was like, dude, you're a better interviewer than me, so I know it's going to be good. Yeah. He's like, don't go starting shit. I call it how I see it, dude. Like,
yeah.
But he's the same way. He reaches out to me, hey, I just had a guest. Like, your style of interviewing, dude, this will be so, like, you two together would be great. Like, you don't have to compete, like, in the world. If you're doing good things and you trust what you're doing, it's going to flourish, especially if you have the best intentions. I just want to take a second to shout out a few companies who believed in me. You know, these were one of our first official sponsors, so huge shout out. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Carbo Jewelers, established in 1997 on the values of honesty and integrity. Whether you're searching for the perfect piece, need expert repair services, visit Carbo Jewelers in Newark's Ironbound District, where your jewelry is always in safe hands. This episode is also brought to you by Continental Jewelers, proudly serving Hudson County, New Jersey since 1964. Whether you're seeking a timeless piece or need expert repairs, they've got you covered. Visit Continental Jewelers, your trusted source for all things jewelry. You can find them on Instagram at Carbo Jewelers or online at carbojewelers.com. Lastly, big shout out to Carbo Trading. Besides coins, precious metals, and jewelry, if it could be traded and collected, he's probably got it. They can be found on Instagram at carbo.trading. You can find all of our sponsors out online on our sponsor page at therelentlessproject.com.
Yeah. So I think going back a little bit to your point on leadership, and I did like some leadership development thing out of college or whatever, and like learned 2 things there, and I've been blessed to be with a lot of good leaders and see them work. But the challenge that I'm working on right now is like leadership in the early 2000s and earlier corporate world is different than leadership in the new age startup business world. And I think a lot of places think leadership is micromanagement and it's like being on people about things. And
you think that's where it's at now?
That's I mean, like, let me say it generally, but like some of the companies that I've worked for, that's their definition of leadership, where it's like, hey, I'm the manager. I'm going to make sure you're checking your boxes and doing your thing, and I'm going to tell you what to do and check in and keep you accountable that you did it. And like, okay, that's one level of leadership. And I think
that's boss.
That's boss, right? Yeah.
That's boss.
And I would say
Or supervisor,
manager, not
yeah,
leader.
Good one. Manager.
The thing that I'm trying to strike right now is, you say lead by example, but a lot of stuff that I'm reading now is that leaders are the ones who empower other people to be the best version of themselves.
Yes.
And that does not come through micromanagement, and that does not come through super tight structure and demanding that people follow a super tight structure. It comes by encouraging them that they are who they are meant to be, and that they have the ability to grow and change and shift even if things aren't going well, and setting them up with the opportunities to act correctly and succeed.
There's a word for that.
Right. I can't pinpoint.
Empowerment.
Empowerment's a great word.
To me, a leader, a good leader, is someone who can empower his constituents. Mm-hmm. And I say constituents, partners, whatever you want to say. Because as soon as we get into his employees, you're already thinking wrong. And yeah, on paper, I'm sure that's what it's called. But when you're in the mindset of, hey, it's my responsibility to achieve this goal. I must bring in people to this team who are going to facilitate that goal based off of their characteristics, their skill set, their morals, right? Like these are things that matter. Right? If you're an amazing coder, but your work ethic is shit, the goal is going to be hard to achieve, right? Yeah. Because if I sit you down and we have a personality clash and I ask, hey, we need this by this deadline, someone who really respects you because you get along, you've developed this partnership or this relationship, someone who respects you and someone who really loves this work, you come to them like, hey, we need this by 8 p.m. They're going to dig in. We need this by 8 p.m. I'm going to get it to you by 7 so you can review it, give it back to me so I can change things, right? If you don't have that connection, I need this by 8 p.m. Fucking you do it then. Why am I always the one doing it? Like that's where we start to get these personality clashes and this friction in the organization. So it's a multi-pronged thing where I'll call it in policing. Leadership is the sergeant or the lieutenant or the chief. But how did they get to that position? And you hear this time and time again. Fortunately, not in my department, but in other departments, I hear about this. He fucking threatened to sue to get that position, or he fucked over this person to get that position. Now he's got stripes. He's seen as a leader. But everyone below him hates him or her. There's this friction in the organization. So now when this person comes up to you and says, hey, I need you to do this, they're going, fuck you, you never did it. Why do I have to do it? Like, and it creates that issue.
So I think to not be a manager, right? There's an element of empowerment of the team and the people, and an element of leading by example. In the fitness world, it's funny for me, right? Because I didn't grow up as a fitness head, right? Like I found that later, and I go to the gym and I keep a regular fitness schedule. You ask me what my goals are, and I'm like, to have time to have goals, right? Like and so I do 3 to 5 days a week in the gym, and I'm consistent, and I do a bunch of different things and run and lift and do kettlebells and do agility training and all that. But my version of leading by example as a business owner is not necessarily the same as an athlete leading by example and like showing up at 5 a.m. and running track every day, right? So I'm not the Kobe Bryant in this situation. So for me, it's like, how do you lead by example in building business and supporting all of the habits that are needed to successfully build a business, including fitness? Because it's more than that. It's fitness, and it's sleep, and it's nutrition, and it's leadership knowledge, and it's showing up and doing the work quickly and turning things around well. And, I'm not perfect at that by any means.
You know how you lead by example? Intention and relationship. You're looking at it as, I'm not an athlete. How can I lead these athletes by example? You approach them with great intention and respect. Hey, my goal is to have a fitness program that allows wide receivers to build strength and speed and agility. You're a very strong, fast, and agile guy. I don't know this. Like, let's sit down. Can you teach me something? Like, what are some things you're approaching them with intention? And that's leading by example, right? Because if someone comes up to you who doesn't know things, you want them to approach you with that same way. That's leading by example.
Yeah.
So leading by example is for a leader who maybe who doesn't have the knowledge of a certain thing. It's not by doing that thing better than that person, right? Because if you're a good leader, you're going to surround yourself by people who are smarter than you, who are better than you,
100%.
Because if you don't, why do you need them?
Yeah.
Right? Like I could just do it myself, but we can't.
We have a value at Pose in our marketing that's putting the spotlight on other people. So if you go scroll through our page, you'll see my face way more than I want you to see my face. But at the end of the day, it's mostly content from somebody else telling us something about how the app could be valuable or how it works for them or why people should like integrate some sort of training practice into their life or some leadership mindset. And so it's not about like us being the guy all the time. It's about us having intentionality and opening up the doors of communication using the app as a platform to do so. So it's not like Pose has all the credibility in the world. The only reason we know how to do any body tracking and quality of form analysis is because we have really, really solid relationships with people like that who can come in and say, here's what we need to see. And I've had probably 1,000 of those conversations over the last 7 years, and I learn more every single time. So creating the opportunity and the openness for somebody to be empowered and take action themselves and contribute their own skill set to something that's bigger than them, I think that's where that lead by example come through, and it generates the trust.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, trust in that I may have to let you may fail at this task, but I have to trust that you're going to figure it out, right? Because as soon as I come in and give you a lifeline, the time I need you to figure it out, you might not be prepared for that because I never afforded you that opportunity because I micromanaged you. I saved you every time you went to do an error, or I scolded you every time you did an error. So now I don't trust you, so you're less likely to take a chance or push the boundary in order to get the objective done because you're either going to save me or there's going to be repercussions if I do this and I'm wrong. Yeah. So you have to not only develop the trust, but have the trust in I've placed you in this position, right? Like I brought you into this team. I brought you into this organization. I trust you to make these judgments. If they don't work out, we'll reevaluate and we'll make it so that doesn't happen again. And if you both come in with that mindset and that intentionality, it's going to be good. Right? Because absolutely. I'm not here to jam you up, right? You made an error. Let's both learn so that this error isn't repeated. How can we make it so this doesn't happen again? Boom. Okay. We have that conversation. All right. Now you're going to be like, man, if I do mess, I'm never going to do that again. Yeah. Right. But if I do mess up, there's always we're going to figure it out. Right. So you have to build that trust.
There's mutual growth.
That's what a leader should be. Mm-hmm. And I tell you what, man, my life has gotten so much better since I've started putting myself last. And that sounds weird to say. And there's a dichotomy to that. I'm not saying, throw yourself on the ground and let everyone walk all over you. But the SWAT test, right? I wanted SWAT so bad. To the point where I was only focusing on myself. What do I need to do to make this better? Well, this last time I injured my knee, so I couldn't take the SWAT test. I was pissed at the world. No one's fault. Myself, training error that I put myself in. SWAT test comes around, and I approach it like this. And I'm a faith-bearing man, so I'll add that.
I got that in my next point that
I'll add that. Like I've really approached the, love people and respect people. You may not get that reciprocation, but that's not what it's about. Right? It's about who you are and your intention. So we're approaching a SWAT test and I'm like struggling, right? Because my knee's I haven't been cleared yet. I just got on a running program with PT and he's like, I don't really want you running right now. And I'm like, well, I got to take a SWAT test in a few weeks. So running is happening. And then my department announced, we're gonna like 3 of you are gonna test. And the other 2 guys, solid dudes. And I'm like, man, if anyone deserves it, it's you 2. Like you guys have put the work in. You guys are workhorses. Anytime someone asks for help or needs help, or whether they ask for it or not, they're there. They're solid dudes. So I'm like, if I freaking fail, I'm not even mad, because I know these two dudes, like, they're going to be a huge asset to the SWAT team. And like, that's where my mind is. And I mean it too. Come to SWAT day, the SWAT test, we do the first couple exercises, and dude, my leg is numb. And I'm like, I don't know how many people they're putting on, right? I don't think they're putting everyone on. So I'm like, I look at the guys and I'm like, I think I'm going to bow out on this one. Had a bitch moment, another bitch moment. I think I'm going to bow out, dude. Like, my leg's numb. Come to test day, it's all back to back. This was like an in-house training. And then you go to the SWAT test. So I'm like, come day of the actual test, like, I'm not going to be afforded this opportunity to like stretch my knee out, get the feeling back. So I'd rather just bow out. They look at me and they're like, no, you're going to be pissed at yourself if you don't do this. So now they're putting themselves on the back burner for me, and they talked me out of this bitch moment. They're like, dude, if you don't do this, you're going to hate yourself, because you're like, what if I did it and passed? If you do it and fail, you expected it.
You might do it and succeed later.
You expected it.
Yeah.
Or you pass, right? So I'm like, you know what? Whatever. Let's do it. We all do it. We all pass. Okay. Then we do take the actual test. And I tell them, hey, man, the last time I did this a couple years ago for the shooting stuff, I was like, I failed at sitting. So before we go there, we're going to be required to shoot from 75 yards seated, which I've never done. Make sure you train that.
Pistol?
That. Rifle.
Okay.
I'm like, make sure you train that, okay? Like, that's where I got jammed up. So
You front on, like.
So they don't tell you.
Oh, okay.
So I made the mistake of, they say, give me 3. I was one of the first ones up. And I floated my rifle, because I've never shot from this position before. Next 3 go up. One's a Marine. He does his little Marine thing. I was like, I fucked up. I already know I fucked up. I was floating my rifle from 75 yards. You're off by a centimeter. By the time it gets to the target, you're hitting the shoulder or
When you say floated, you mean you don't have contact here?
I don't have contact with my knees.
Okay.
So I just had my rifle in the air. Mm-hmm. Well, the Marine comes up, and he's like in a little ball, and you can tell he's tight. That rifle's like locked.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, I messed up. So come 2 years later, we're approaching the SWAT test, and I'm telling them, like, hey, this is where I messed up. Like, definitely make sure you have reps at 100 yards, prone, kneeling, and 75 yards sitting, because that's where I struggled. And I'm like, not even worried about myself. I'm like, I've trained for this. I will never repeat that mistake again. But I'm giving them the head, like, hey, man, you guys need to pass this. Well, come SWAT day, everyone passed. Well, they end up putting everyone on.
Nice.
We all 3 made it.
Nice.
And I'm like ready to be like, hey, dude, if anyone deserves this, you two. Like, you two. Well, they approached it the same way. And if all that big story to say, like, if you approach things with the best of intention, like, hey, I know you're mad at me, but I care about you. I don't want issues. This is where I stand. We don't have to agree. You don't have to talk to me anymore, but there's no ill will on this end. I want what's best for you, whatever that may mean.
Yeah.
You can only hope that, imagine if that dude approached it the same way. Imagine that in an organization. Hey, we have different goals right now. We have 2 different ways of looking at this problem. This is how I think we should do it. But let's try your way. Let's try your way. I'll put my ego aside. Let's try your way. And it works.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The objective has been satisfied.
Yep.
If it fails, guess what? Well, let's try my way. Now he's or she's going to be more open to go, hey, we tried my way, it failed. Let's try your way.
That's why it's like, so I'm good at what I'm good at, right? But I'm not good at everything. And so it's like you said, how do you get smart people around you to help build the thing? Because it's more complicated than one person's skill set. Like, create an opportunity for somebody to come in and say, hey, this is how it is. And the training world is a great example of that for me in the app. It's like, what do you want as a program? What do you guys want us to provide for you? And how can we work to satisfy your needs as a trainer? It's not about Andy Grove's understanding of training. That's a complicated world. It has many, many tiers of expertise and credentials and certifications that are needed in different areas. And like let's put that as an opportunity for somebody else to provide value and come in and share their knowledge and help people.
That's what do they call it? An abundance of mindset. If your mindset is open, you create opportunities for other people to flourish, right? And if you have a goal in mind and you're more worried about how does Ish achieve this goal and not how can this goal be achieved, you're not going to get very far in life and your goals and whatever it is, because you're more worried about you and not about this thing.
You asked me what are the main challenges of like launch, and that's the transition of that point is probably one of them, where it's like, okay, for years it's like, what's my manual effort that I can put in to make something happen? And then you get to a point where you've launched a business and it's like, okay, this isn't about my manual effort anymore. I'm still going to have to put in a lot of work, and that's true, but like my manual effort is highly limited and it has an edge. And sometimes the effort has to happen somewhere else with somebody else's expertise and a part of the country or the world that I didn't even know it had to happen in. And that's real, like opening up the door and saying, hey, we're going to equip somebody over here to take some action and grow the business that way. We have some guys in Miami who are doing work for us and like never thought that was going to be a thing, but it came about naturally and organically. And to go back, we were talking about faith real quick earlier, but like for me, it's all about God's timing. Right, like Andy's timing and my ability to white knuckle it and force things to happen isn't always the right way, because stuff can happen too early and you actually miss an opportunity because you didn't wait long enough, or vice versa, or maybe you wait too long. But God's timing is if you prepare yourself and open up the ability to execute because you're so prepared, when the timing hits, you're going to be all ready to go, right? And it's going to happen exactly the right time. So it's the difference between forced growth and organic growth. For me, I want as much organic growth as I possibly can. If somebody doesn't want to be involved with us today, I'm not going to critique them for it. I'm going to leave the door. I'm say, hey, that's okay. I'm going to leave the door wide open. Come back whenever you're ready. And if you're never ready, that's fine. And if you are ready, I'm here to help. Right. So we've had so many conversations with people that's just like, hey, now's not the time. That's cool. But then somebody comes back around, the world changes, everybody else's life shifts, and then the stars align, and it's like, okay, now's the time, let's go. Let's make it happen.
I could not believe in that more. Like again, back to the SWAT thing. People underestimate how bad I wanted this. I wanted it so bad, I was willing to do anything and everything to make it happen. And it didn't happen, right? And I was in a different mindset then, right? Like, God forbid, I got SWAT during that time. I was not in the best mindset. My schedule, everything. And what's crazy is I am quote unquote busier now, but I've never had more opportunity, and now I got SWAT, but not only that, I've received other opportunities that has helped me out financially. Well, one thing SWAT requires of you is to front your uniform and your equipment, not your plates or none of the big stuff, but it's a significant investment, right? Because one of the things is we want people who want to be here, right? Not people who want to try this out or because it's cool or because it's awesome. We want people who want to be here, and that requires a buy-in, right? I could not have afforded to be on SWAT back then.
Oh, that's interesting. So the timing lined up so you can actually afford it today.
And the thing is, I approached SWAT with the mindset of, God, if this is for me, I'm doing the work, and I'm preparing myself. And if it's for me, you'll let it be known. And if it's not, I'm willing to accept that. That's where I was.
We've had situations where it's like, hey, you're going to need $15K to make this happen. And I'm like, I don't have $15K square to drop on this right now. And then work bonus comes in at the perfect amount of time. It's exactly 15. It's like 15,030 bucks. I'm like, cool. I'm gonna take $30
God's
and house
like,
it, and
I'll
like
give you
the
your
15K goes right to what we need it to go, and it happens in God's timing. He provides when He needs to provide, and as long as we're prayerful and listen to His timing and don't try to force it, I think all those things line up in the right time. So we're in an interesting phase, like where we launched. Right, the app is out and it's slow growing. and you want to white knuckle it, and you want to go find all the brand partnerships that can drop 100,000 follows in the, in a week or whatever. But I don't think, like, that's almost forced timing, and it creates, instead of long-term sustainable growth, it creates short spikes of growth that fizzle out. And so for me and for all the people I think who are involved in Pose and the benefit that we can have to people long-term, it's like, I want to create something stable that even if it grows slow today, it's organic and it's stuff that's going to stay, not something that's hype driven and short term and then will fizzle out in the next
one thing that
months.
We confuse is, we confuse God's timing with, oh, if it's for me, it's going to happen, then I'm going to sit back and it's going to happen.
No, it still takes tons of manual effort.
But that, like, and that's the thing, like, and again, I know not a lot of people share the same faith that I do, so I'm speaking, hopefully I don't offend anyone, I'm speaking off of my experience and my belief. So I hope people can approach this conversation with that in mind, right? Like, God's timing requires us to work, right? He's not going to give you something if you're not prepared for it, right? Like, we pray for $1 million. If God, I'll be honest right now, if God gives me $1 million right now, if $1 million appear in a bag right here, boom, it's not going to go to its best use, right?
Yeah.
And I'm being completely honest with that, because right now I have my hands in a lot of baskets and I want them all to grow, right? And that's something I'm currently working on. Like, it's going to grow on its own accord. I just got to put the effort in, put the work in, and it's going to happen. And I've approached a podcast like that. And it's gotten to a point where now I have a queue of like 20 people that want to be on, and I want them all on. And I'm at a point where I'm like, do I reach out to them now and schedule for like 6 months from now? Like, maybe they'll forget or something. So I'm like, you know what? Every week I have a reminder. Reach out to 2 people and schedule.
Well,
reach out to 2 people and schedule. Reach out to 2 people and schedule. And guess what? If one can't, reach out to the third. And now I have 2. And that's where I'm at, right? I'm booked out till July. But I'm as we get closer, that's how I'm approaching it. And more people want to come on. And I'm like, oh man, like, this is so good. And I sit down and I appreciate it. Right? So, like, what's fueling the growth? Me? Or is it happening organically? Right? Like, Dom, my last guess. That was like, I literally flew down to Florida, met with David Kelly, who was a past guest. And someone told me to, hey, reach out to David, see how he's doing. He lives down here. Reach out to him, like, hey, meet me out, meet us out. So he comes out. First thing he said, dude, you got to have this guy on, man. He's so smart. He's a bodybuilder. Like, and he just talked about how smart he was. Dude, when I sat down with this dude, just a bodybuilder was the least of his. He sat here and talked, dual majored, lieutenant commander in the Navy, or lieutenant colonel, sorry, in the Navy. So huge wealth of knowledge. And that just happened organically. It wasn't something where I was like, oh, this dude has cool credentials, I'm going to reach out to him. No, it just happened. Seminar Stack. I was like, man, this is such a cool organization. Like, I want to, like, how can I give to this organization? Like, I don't have money to give. I have resources and a network that hopefully can benefit them. Through that, I get partnered with Rob with McDojo Life, who is someone I followed forever.
That's it. Those organic things are so much higher quality than like the forced things. Like, I mean, I used to do biz dev for my dad's company, software sales, and I just bang the phones all day. Like, hey, Mr. CEO man, who are you? Whatever. Like, those relationships actually take. I mean, you're looking at a 3% conversion rate on a good day, and if I call 100 people, I'm probably gonna stick with 3 of them. It's not even a good time. But if I sit down on a podcast with you, and then you tell me to talk to Seminar Stack or whoever, right? Like, those relationships are much more likely to stick and maintain. So for me, as I've been growing a business, as I've been growing relationships, it's all about those like organic, automatic conversations that can happen and then sustain, like, because we like to hang out with each other, not because it's like some highly professional business relationship or whatever.
Yeah, and it leads us in the conversation of like social media versus community, right? Like, Pose is building a community. You have a certain type of people you want to associate with Pose, right? Whereas social media, you can click a follow and maybe they follow you back because they saw, oh, I follow everyone who follows me. Boom. That's social media. You put something out into that, you may not get the response you think you're going to get, but you create a community, right? Like hey, talk to Seminar Stack, dude. I think with what you're doing is going to do real good with what they're doing. Now you follow each other. And then they're like, oh, dude, Andy has this idea. Well, freaking Fighter Passport. Tyler.
Dude, he's a man.
I had him on the podcast, and then you guys are talking. And I'm like, dude, that is awesome. Like, how did they connect, right?
You
like,
want me to blow your mind again?
Please.
The company that built Fighter Passport is the same company that built Pose.
That's wild.
It's True Fit.
He's not even from Pittsburgh.
Nope. We met. So I think they met through one of our like BD people at True Fit, and then they needed some folks to interview about jiu-jitsu, and since we were in the Pittsburgh area, they were like, hey, who can you get involved? And so I was like, Jarek, Isaac, everybody, and Jarek, get some people together and have them do interviews. So then they connected with Tyler, and now it's a whole thing, and TrueFit built the platform, and now we're figuring out how Pose and Fighters Passport can become buddies and provide mutual services for each other.
And guess who's talking to Fighters Passport? Seminar Stack.
Actually, he's gonna have a booth at the event,
dude. And you know, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but Tyler's offering gyms like a way for people to check in and stuff like that when they're in certain areas for gyms.
It's even more than that now.
Oh, it's so much more. I'm being in layman's terms.
Yeah.
Well, Seminar Stack can use that.
100%.
Like the same platform for a different purpose. And it's crazy how everything connects. Dude, it blows my mind when I'm on social media. I'm like, these two are, oh my God, how are they connected? Like I know them and I know them. How did they connect? Now dude, it blows my mind. And that's that organic growth.
Yeah, I will say the combat sports world has probably one of the most tight-knit communities that I've ever seen. And like, I don't even actively train jiu-jitsu right now, but I trained for 2 years. I'm still a white belt, but somehow like, okay, still part of the crew. I love it. And I want to train way more aggressively than I am right now.
Get on the mats.
But yeah, how often are you at Stout?
Right now, once a week.
Once a week.
I'm back to once a week because I'm trying to baby myself in.
With a knee.
Yeah. It's I spoke with Mike and he said it's more of a mindset thing. Like your mind is going to stop you before your body does. Because he went through a similar thing with his knees. And he said he's like eased in and he got put in a move where he was like, oh, my knee. And then he was like, oh, no, it's okay. Like it's going to be fine. So that's where I'm at. Like I'm easing my way back into it, but I'm going to get back to what I was doing, man, 3, 4, 5 times a week. Dude, I love it. It's something that this year without it has been very tough. And it's going to sound corny, but not having an outlet, like the gym is an outlet, but this is different, right? Jiu-jitsu is different. You are like at the gym, if something's too heavy, I just put it down or I lower the weight, right? And we do that subconsciously. We don't realize we're doing that. In jiu-jitsu or in any martial art, you don't really have that choice because you have someone aggressing you. You have to figure it out.
Yeah, you'll pass out.
Yeah.
Pass out or tap out.
Yeah, like or get knocked out. You have to figure it out on the fly, right? Like at the gym, I get distracted. I'm answering emails. Like when I'm training, I can't think of, man, I gotta get Andy's talking points set so my conversation isn't flying off the wheels, right? Like I am focused on the task at hand. It requires you to focus. It requires you to hone in. It requires you to tighten up. It requires you to be at your best. Because if you're not, there's an immediate consequence. If I don't do your talking points, we sit here.
We're still gonna have a conversation. Yeah. How many of those talking points did we stick to?
All of them. Dude, we've been done with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the whole beauty of these. I'm like, this organic conversation, right? Like, I barely looked at these. I'm scrolling. I'm like, oh, we already did that. We already did that. We already did that. We already did that. Like, but I don't even need these. These just help me hone in case I go crazy.
I think so. One of the ones that you had on there was abundance mindset, and we talked about it real brief and
Literally,
kind of touch and go.
I was trying to find it. I thought I put that in there.
Yeah, but I wanted to make sure to touch on that because all of the relationships that we've had, none of them were planned. None of them were like sought out. We didn't prospect them on LinkedIn and send them messages. They happened, like we said, organically. But the abundance mindset is what enables that. So I'm not closed off only talking to the 3 people who are my partners. I'm not holding back because I don't have enough money to do things. I'm not trying to keep my technology the most private so that all the competitors don't know about it. It's abundance mindset, man. There's enough people to run a fitness app to use Whoop, Train Heroic, Kahuna, and Pose, right? There's enough people in the world to do that. There's enough money floating around, and we talked about the big wealth transfer that's about to happen. Like there's enough money to float around that if we're prepared for it, we'll get what we need. There's enough relationships that we should just get as many people as possible involved. And being able to come into the world like that, and going back to the leadership conversation, the difference between like the corporate mindset and the call it free market mindset is in corporate, it's all about the next fire drill and the next crisis that we have to solve, and it's super rapid paced and like everybody's stressed out and high pressure, and if you don't act perfectly, like it's the end of the world. But like really, if you could take the pressure off, breathe a little bit, realize that like, okay, even if we're a top 10 bank or whatever, there's tons of abundance, and our ability to be authentically ourselves and provide the best value that we possibly can and the best knowledge that we possibly can to our constituents and our customers and our partners, like the abundance that exists there is what creates success and flourishing, not the white knuckle grip and the stress and the pressure and the crises. Because really, if our constituents are feeling that, it's not likely that they stick around for very long.
Yeah, and there's a huge difference, and it goes back to that intentionality. If my intention is to provide a platform for people to be able to highlight what they're doing and connect people, that is my goal. It's being achieved. I'm happy, right? I don't make hundreds of thousands of dollars with the podcast, and that's fine. That's not the goal. If the goal changes, and because one thing I would like to do, especially with fighters, right? Like they pay a lot of money to fight and to train and to put themselves in these positions. Eventually, I would like to be a resource for fighters and businesses where I'm like, hey, I just had this donation come in or this partnership come in, and we have free capital. How can I help you achieve your goal? Right? I don't want to be a millionaire based off this investment. I want to make my money back, but like my goal is for you to succeed.
Well, and if you do that, you could potentially be a millionaire from it, right?
If
Just
that's
because
what's
you're
for me.
putting other people before it. And like with fighting, the sponsorship opportunities, right? Like how do you, Lucas from Matt Factory,
Yeah.
he came to me and he goes, hey, I have a big fight coming up. Can you sponsor us? And I'm like, I'm still at a point, this a few months ago, but like I'm still at a point where I'm funding this business on my own, right? So I'll put the Pose logo on you all day. Right, that's easy. But I'm going to create an opportunity for him to go make money, right? So we made him a Pose champion, right? He can go tell all his friends about Pose. If he wants to help us build a program for him on the app, he can build a program, and then he can go say direct his friends, and he can actually co-sponsor himself with us. And so it's creating that avenue. And then the more we get revenue, the more I'm going to want to like, okay, let's sponsor people. Let's help them get to where they want to go. Let's help trainers figure out how to build their business and access this online world of personal training where people are really making good money, because that stuff's all really hard to do when your primary focus is elsewhere. So with a fighter, it's like, hey, I want to train and be ready to fight. With a trainer, it's like, I want to spend time with clients and focus on what they need, right? They're being selfless in that. So it's good. How do we use our resources and assets and products and services and companies to help give everybody else a leg up? Because what did we say in the first podcast? Rising tide lifts all boats.
Amen, brother. And that's how my partnership with Project One, right? We approached each other and I'm like, dude, I love what you guys are doing. I love the brand. He says the same thing. I have a code, right? If you buy from Project One, use code Relentless, you save 10%, right? You're getting something out of it. And then I'm getting some money to help fund the show, and our partnership, right? Like same thing. You want me to provide my plan, which I just go in willy nilly, but I'm going to develop a plan. But we don't have money, right? Because our money is going to what we're doing, our goals and objectives. But we're providing each other a partnership in a way that we can both benefit from partnerships. And I always tell people, especially fighters, Devin, he's like, hey, man, I'm looking for sponsors. Bro, if I had the money, I would throw it at you 100% because I love the man that you are and I love what you're doing. I don't have it, but I would love to have my logo on you. So what do? Provide his graphics, provide video, provide services. And it's not free, right? Yeah. Because he's out there and he's promoting me on his shorts. Trade. It's a trade. And I'm huge on that, right? And like I talk to a lot of companies and they're like, hey, we wanna sponsor you, but we don't want to pay you. Okay, like what can we do? Well, we're a big company. If you throw us in there, you're going to benefit. I'm like, okay, like it needs to be a mutual benefit, right? Like, how do I benefit from throwing your stuff on here? Like, because at the end of the day, I'm paying for this all by myself. This is like my job, my career, all the money goes to this.
Well, that's cool to see. I mean, the growth that you've had just from when we were at the real estate office to film this versus now in the space that you've created. Like, it's cool. It's everything set up. You came in and hit a go button one time rather than setting up all these cameras, right? Like, I didn't even know to expect that, but it's cool to see growth from those sort of relationships.
And you know how I got that?
Huh.
Through a guest on the podcast.
Set you up with all this?
With space. He's like, hey, I know a guy who has a bunch of offices at Penn Brewery, like, cool dude. I think it was Savage gentleman, Shane.
Nice.
I'm like, oh, I'll reach out to him. He's like, oh, dude, Shane's a good dude. Da, da, da. Here we are. I'm like, oh, dude. Okay. And then Nick with Immobilize.
Yeah.
Looking for an office space. I'm like, dude, come in. I'll help you with the flashlight. Like it's an awesome idea. We can benefit from each other. Now he comes in. They offer me a great position contracting and consulting with the company.
Nice.
That's something that happened organically. Wasn't expected. I'll give you all my time and resources because I believe in what you're doing. Well, that company had different type of resources that benefited me. And they're like, nice. We're willing to give you this. And I'm like, wow, you don't have to do that. Like, I believe in what you're doing. They're like, we want to give it to you. Okay. Like, sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
And everything just happens like that. And I think if you approach, and right, we're not perfect, right? We all have our own goals and we're trying to get to it the best that we can. And if we approach everyone with that in mind, like, hey, I understand what you're looking for. I can't give you that. Maybe right now is not the time. Maybe later it becomes the time.
It'll line up when it's meant to line up.
Like, imagine if I approach them like, oh, you want to come in here? I want this. Or you don't come in here. Well, we don't have this to give you right now. Then you're not coming in here. We would have never developed a relationship.
Yep.
And through that, a whole bunch of things have been happening that can't even talk about yet. But
oh, you're telling me, man.
Dude, it's just like
things.
Yeah, there's so many things happening. And I'm like, I tell people, I'm like, dude, just approach it with the best of intention. And that being said, you may not get what you want. And that's fine. You still have to respect the person and appreciate what they're doing. It doesn't align with you right now. That's fine. Not everything is going to. Just trust the process and keep putting your best foot forward and watch it grow. Watch it grow. I sat back, and I always tell people to do this, and I never did it myself. Hey, sitting back, looking at what Pose has become. Did you ever think it was going to be this? Like, how do you feel when you sit back and you look at it and you're like, wow, this is so different than when I first had the idea, when I first started implementing the idea, when I thought where it was going to go and where it was going to be. And now, like, all these doors have opened. The
priorities change too, which is cool. Because, when I'm from the design world, I like to invent things. That's who I am. But, like, very quickly, as we got closer and closer to launch, and especially since launch, like, forget all that. It's about people.
That's all it is.
It's about who can be involved. How can we help them? Where can I provide value? Where can we have a good conversation? How can I help somebody build their business? It has nothing to do with us and barely anything to do with Pose. Everything to do with who all it needs to benefit. And the more time I spend there having those conversations, the more advantageous the business is.
And that's if anything, that's what I'll tell people. Develop intentional relationships.
100%.
Everything else is going to fall into place if it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Right? Like, don't force the situation. Let the situation happen. Right? It's like if you want a big gym, if you put all your money in creating this huge gym and there's no one to fill it, it's gonna fail.
Yeah.
But if you start small and you create a tight-knit group of people and they come in, and then now we have so many people, we need a bigger spot. Now you get a bigger place. You fill it with more cool people, more good people, and it continues to grow. That's how Stout has 4 locations now. Yeah. I sat down with Warren and I asked that question. What fuels the growth? You wanting the biggest gym or you needing a spot to put everyone in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, and that's why all these gyms, Isaac's gym, Mat Factory, when you talk to those people, it's not just a jiu-jitsu gym. It's not just a wrestling gym. It's a community of like-minded individuals.
It's almost not about the space at all.
It's not about it at all.
I mean, one of the things I love about Isaac is he's like teaching class, right? But he's in there doing the exercises and rolling with people the entire time, multiple times a day. I don't know where that man gets all the energy, but like it's clearly about mentoring people and bringing new people in and creating opportunities, even to the point where like I went down there one time and the first time I'm showing him the app, he goes, yeah, sure, join us for class. I'm a white belt. It was an advanced class. And I jumped in and got the crap beat out of me, but like he's inclusive of everybody no matter where they are and trying to get them involved, trying to deliberately put challenges in front of them so that they can be the best version of themselves, even if it takes failure first.
Dude, that's how I got looped into that.
Yeah.
And that's what he's always like, dude, come down, come train. We do the podcast. I'm in a rash guard because I'm interviewing Isaac. Right?
What episode number was that? I have to go watch that.
Early episodes, dude. I think it was right before, it was before you or right after you, but early episodes.
Okay.
So we're interviewing in the rehab center next door. He's like, all right, man, come on. We got, I'm training Cody Law. He's going to be, I'm like, oh, dude, that's so cool. Like, you know, Cody Gamble was there. A couple of his other guys were there. It was a closed gym. And I'm like, oh, dude, I'm in a rush. I might as well. Bro, I get worked. To the point where I have a hernia. I forget it goes into my diaphragm. So it's not the one that goes down, it's the one that comes up. So I'm like feeling nauseous and ready to throw up. And I'm like, oh, dude, I got to puke. Like, I think this is. I go outside, I puke, I yak. He's recording it. I feel instantly better. And I'm like, nope. It was just pure exhaustion from rolling with you dogs. Like, anytime I describe the Mat Factory, they're dogs, dude. Everyone there is just, dude, they love what they do. They're passionate about. Like, I don't know one person that just goes to class.
It's been such a blessing to be part of that community and just to be around that mindset. Like, because not only are they dogs and they're willing to work hard, they're also killers who have sharpened their skills so much that I would venture to say that they're some of the best in the whole city of Pittsburgh, if not the state of Pennsylvania, at what they do. And their competition record shows it. So they're good from the daily habits and discipline that they need to succeed, to doing the work even when it's hard, even when it doesn't look cool, even when nobody's watching, the whole way through to like winning the competitions that they go
And not
to.
only that, when they see you, hey, what's up, Ish? How you doing, man?
Yeah, they're not.
When they see someone at another gym, they're not competing. They're rallying around the next Pittsburgh person. Yeah. Like it's not about gyms for them. It's about what the goal is, and the goal is to be good people and to be amazing grapplers and fighters. And how do you do that? You build a community. Stout guys go there and train. Mat Factory guys and girls go to Stout to train. Yep. Like, everyone's like, hey, you have a fight? How can we best prepare you for your fight? It's not, no, you're Mat Factory, you got to fight. Well, we got fighters on that card. You can't come over. Dude, everyone's always cross-training, trying to sharpen their sword.
That's why I like jiu-jitsu community, right? Yeah. Everybody's all about hanging out with everybody. There's not like competition lines or whatever. Like, that's a waste of time. And the more variety of training partner you can fight, the more versatile you are in a competition anyway. So It's like, let's cross those lines and learn together.
Man, a lot of good stuff. I'll say this as we wind down. What's next for Pose, and what's next for you personally? Like what developments are down the line that you're looking at? What are your goals for the next, I normally say 5 years, but you're moving so fast. What's your goal for the next year, both for Pose and for you personally?
So for Pose, obviously the app is out now, and it's going to be all about building the resources necessary to help people succeed with the app. So we have our champion program that just launched. That's the ability for pretty much anybody to come on. You have to do a little application, but you become a Pose partner and you build a code, #Relentless for the Relentless podcast if you want to sign up for the Pose app. But you have the opportunity to convert people and get part of the monthly recurring revenue on anybody that you convert for the app. The other thing that we can do there is partner with you to build programs, right? Whether it's a 1-day workout or a 6-week challenge or an assessment of some sort that benchmarks your skills, we can work with people to do that. So for me, it's all relationship building right now. We have tons of great people, and then we want to help use those resources that we'll build with the partners to bring on customers to the app so we can collect as much data as possible. So that's kind of the push on the app side of things right now. We have it moving. We're working towards some really big partnerships with different military groups, seminar stacks coming up, so groups like that as well. That's kind of where Pose is headed. And then our goal would be to generate some revenue and really get into the lab side of it. So we're going to develop Pose Labs, which will be just like R&D motion tracking, any movement that we can possibly do. We've talked about combat sports movements. We've done some basic assessments for like UFC fighting. They have the punch velocity test that they do at the Performance Institute. So we want to put that into the app. We want to do wrestling posture analysis. That's led by Isaac. So there's all these different like motion capture things that we don't do yet that we want to start doing. And that's going to require some like revenue and good capital to start getting that moving. So I'm pushing towards that. And once we can unlock that, then you can do anything. Talk about like, we've had people be like, hey, you should take this to the gun range and help people understand how they're presenting their pistol. Right.
It's movement tracking.
This movement tracking. Anything that camera can do to tell you what you're doing right and wrong about a certain motion, we want to be able to equip it through the app and build fitness and readiness programs around preparing for that. So if you're doing like CQB training and going in and clearing rooms and stuff like that, what do you do in the gym to support your habits in that training session? Because you need to have a holistic view of how fitness is not just checking a box, but how it supports the lifestyle or the tactical skills that you have to complete your job. Think about like from the military perspective, every different MOS in the Army has a different physical need. A lot of the things are kind of overlapping. They have a Venn diagram, but like if you're a mortar guy, you have a certain thing that you have to be able to do. If you're a medic, you have a certain thing that you have to do. So if there's anything that we can body track in those realms, great, but also we can build all the programming that help you build a lifestyle that supports those things.
Shit. Big goals.
So yeah, we're working on that. And then for me personally, it's like, I want to take a transition from just the grind work to the relationship work. And I think that involves a lot of traveling. I want to be able to go around the country and talk to all the different people that I've mentioned over the years and like run into, like there's folks that have been helping with Pose for years now who I haven't met in person before. It's crazy. So like I feel personal responsibility on the relationship building side of this to like get out of my little lab and go around and actually meet some people and make sure that I'm hearing what they need and supporting the mission that they have, whether it's Air Force, gym folks, trainers, coaches, physical therapists, whoever. And really I've worked from home now for 2 years for the bank, and I'm like just over sitting at my desk at my house.
Take the laptop with you.
Yeah. So whether I take my car and just start driving and see what happens, or what, like I want to start being a little bit more mobile personally. And
sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah.
Pick a spot, put it in the GPS and go.
Yeah. And you realize, like, you think, traveling, it costs a lot of money. And then you realize, like, I'm going to go to the grocery store and buy food, even if I'm home. I'm going to be spending gas on my car, even if I'm home. So it's like might be a little bit more money, but I'm still going to spend that money. I'm sitting in my house.
Scared money don't make money, and closed mouths don't get fed.
Absolutely.
After this episode is aired and people have listened to it, we've talked about a lot of things, a lot of cool things. What's one message you want people to take with them after this episode's done? Tough question.
Work hard, but stop trying to white knuckle it and let it happen organically. But keep working hard.
Oh, double entendre. Work hard, but don't. But do.
No. Definitely work hard. But it's not about forcing your way to make things happen. It's about lining things up so that when it's meant to happen, it happens automatically.
Prepare yourselves for the opportunities to come. You can't do that sitting on your couch.
Exactly.
That requires work. Good one. Where can people follow you online if they want to learn more about Pose? Where can people find Pose? Where can people follow you personally and your story? How can people connect with you?
Yeah, so we're primarily on Instagram through Pose Fitness app. We're on like Twitter and other places under Pose Fitness app as well. I'm Andrew D. Grove on Instagram if you want to follow my personal. And then we're working on the Pose Pod. So I've done a bunch of episodes at this point. It's not launched yet, but there's probably a couple dozen episodes that I'll put out and just showcase some of the people that we've been working with soon. So our marketing launch is all about me having enough bandwidth to launch it at this point.
Dude,
but it's
I'll give you this advice.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
That was my biggest was, man, what if it doesn't, do I have the right equipment or am I ready for this? Sometimes you just have to do it and learn as you go, as you've been doing with the Pose app. So there's no excuses with the Pose Pod.
There's no excuses.
And I think it's cool because, especially nowadays, I think people want to see what's behind the brand, what's behind the organization. It's not necessarily what's being offered, it's who's offering it. Is this, can I connect with this person? Oh, I can. More than likely, I can connect with what they're doing.
Yep.
So I think that'd be a huge opportunity that is going wasted by you holding on to it. So I would implore you to launch the Pose Pod.
Yeah, no pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah, it's not because I don't want to.
I get it. Well, bro, I appreciate you for jumping on. I would advise everyone, go follow Pose, download the app. It's out, it's live. Tweak with it, mess with it, see how it can fit your life, your personal life, your business life. If you're one of those fitness influencers, this is something that can definitely help you with your business. Not even just fitness influencers. If you're in any realm of wellness, I feel you can benefit from this app. So definitely go check it out. It's on the App Store.
And use the code Relentless when you sign up.
Yeah, use the code Relentless. Help the podcast out. It helps, highlight other people's stories who come on, other guests. So it's not about me. Like, I promise you, I am not making $1. It's all going to the podcast and the people who come on the podcast. So if you don't already, follow Relentless, PRJCT on Instagram, X, YouTube, and show some love. Like, subscribe, all that cool stuff that the podcasters say at the end of their episodes. I never know how to say that. And remember, be relentless in the pursuit of your goals. Work hard and be ready for those opportunities. This is another one with Andy Grove, and we're out.
Amen, brother.
Later.